Welcome to Voices from the Bench, a dental laboratory podcast. Send us an email at info@voicesfromthebench.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Greetings and welcome to episode 270 of Voices from the Bench. My name is Alva.
And my name is Barbara.
What's happening, Barb? Happy Memorial Day.
I know, right?
So let me ask you something. Memorial Day in Indiana means like start of summer, right. Barbecues. Indiana, we got the 500, but everyone opens their pool. Is that even a thing in Florida? Or are pools just like open all the time?
Yeah, open all the time. Hell, it's been 90 for 2 months, my friend.
Oh.
Literally.
How does I don't even understand how that works.
Well, it's been raining a lot, though, which is nice because the grass is starting to grow. It's really hot. I'm starting to train for the triathlon, so I've been biking and running and sweating my ass off.
Well, it's 90, so yeah.
Yeah, so we just, grill out, hang out. What are you doing Memorial Day today?
Probably taking a nap.
Well,
I know, it's exciting. I know.
Yeah.
I know. Actually, when you speak of the triathlon, I think I might have a team. So,
that's
yeah. It might be on. It might actually happen this year.
I hope so. I really do. I know Martha Martin wants like at least 10 teams, and so I just think the more the merrier. You guys listening, let's go.
I will not be on a bike.
I know you're going to be running.
Yeah. Won't be anywhere near the bikes.
Well, that's good to know. I finally got a speedometer, so I'm trying to suck a little less on the bike this year. So I got something that's actually showing me my speed, so I know how slow I am, and I can speed up. So
there you go.
Yeah.
It's all about setting benchmarks.
It's my nemesis. I have a goal. I've got to do
it. Nice. Well, you're going to win it this year.
Yeah, right.
So it's almost June.
Yes.
And you know what that is, right?
You know what that is?
CDT and Dental Technician Appreciation Month. That's right, it's a month to celebrate the greatness that is all of us. But let's be honest, here on the podcast, we celebrate it every week.
True that.
Yes, we do.
Yep.
But every year, we like to give the opportunity for all of you to send in an audio thanks that we will play here on the podcast. It's super easy. All you got to do is just record yourself on your phone or a computer, thanking that special someone, that group, maybe even a vendor, or just basically anything or anyone that has made a positive contribution to your dental career. Once you get it recorded, email it to us at info@voicesfromthebench.com, and we're going to play it on the podcast.
And we need a lot this year, guys. Come on. Step up.
Seriously, we've gotten 0 so far.
No.
And once we get it going, we usually pick it up by the end of the month. So let's get them to us early, and let's hear all those wonderful audio thanks.
Yes. And back by popular demand, we are once again finally selling shirts, and we're going to raise money for the Foundation of Dental Laboratory Technology, which we do pretty much every year, but it's about time we relaunch some shirts. So a few people have asked us to do another round, and they are available right now to purchase. And this time, we're saying, and I quote, dental technicians have better technique. Now, you can take that as you want to think about it, but that was my idea, and you know how I am about techniques. Finally, my idea. So head over to voicesfromthebench.com, click on the We Have Better Technique link to get one before the sale ends on June 10th. Don't wait. Get one today. And all you guys out there that have asked and asked and asked, do it.
Yeah, this time, because it's 90 degrees in Florida, T-shirts, yes, long sleeve hoodies, and tank tops.
I'm getting a tank top.
There you go. Just in time for the race.
That's right. That's fantastic. I'm excited.
So we've been playing a lot of conversations that Barb and I got while at Lab Day. But we are happy to be back to our classic single interview format. That's when we really get to dive deep into talking with guests.
Yeah.
And this week, we got to meet a successful new lab owner named Daniel Hassler. In a time where there's a lot of talk about labs closing and a lack of technicians, Daniel set off to prove that this industry is still strong.
Hell yeah.
Daniel learned about dental technology in the Air Force. After his service, he worked for a few labs, and even with the, and I'm probably going to butcher this, an anapolologist, making ears and noses.
Wow.
But he wanted to control his own destiny, and he opened up his own lab called Wizards of the Bench.
Love that name.
Yeah, great name. And it was an instant success. What's kind of funny and relatable, this is a shorter interview because Daniel is a working lab owner.
And he said,
yeah, and basically, he gets a call while we're recording that he needed to go chairside. And it's something that Barb and I, we kind of understand all too well.
Pretty much.
So join us as we chat with Daniel Hassler.
Did you know that not all zirconia is the same?
ZirCAD Prime Zirconia from Ivoclar is uniquely produced with gradient technology, which allows two powders that normally center at different intervals to be combined into one material which centers uniformly.
The manufacturing process not only optimizes the translucent properties, but it also creates a seamless progression of shade while maintaining optimal strength.
ZirCAD Prime is now more affordable than ever and will give you the results your dentist will notice. I've seen it, it's true. Contact your local Ivoclar sales representative today to find out more about Prime and how Ivoclar can support your success. And as always, we appreciate your support of the podcast, Ivoclar. Voices from the Bench. The interview. We'd like to welcome to the podcast someone. Where did we meet, Daniel? I think I saw you online.
Instagram, yeah.
Yeah, it was the name of your lab that really caught my attention. But we're going to get into that. Let's welcome to the podcast Daniel Hassler.
Hello, yeah, Daniel Hassler.
Hassler,
you nailed
nice.
It. Nice.
Go, Elvis. That's a first.
And we're done.
No hassle. No hassle with that name.
Yep.
Oh, I bet you get that all the time.
Oh, yeah. I get all sorts of funny ones.
So, Daniel, let's talk about how you ended up in this industry.
So I actually started out, I was working in Jimmy John's, delivering sandwiches on a bike. And
On a bike?
On a bicycle, yeah. We were
Wow.
sandwich delivery couriers on bike. And it's pretty popular in bigger cities. Like, you can just get around real quick, pop over to a building and stuff. And
Sure.
I had done that for a couple of years and kind of was looking for something different in my life. And I had a recruiter that was just on my ear from high school, just kept pursuing me and finally convinced me to join the Air Force. And I wanted to join and do what my dad did, was a survival instructor, or a SEER specialist now is what they call them.
Like survive out in the wilderness?
Yeah, so it's SEER stands for Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape. So we would train air crew, anybody that's flying on a plane, how to survive in the woods, evade captivity, resist
Nice.
if they are captured, and then escape if they find themselves in a situation where that's possible.
Wow.
It's like Rambo.
Yeah, sort of like Rambo. Yeah, there's a lot of like Rambo and Boy Scouts all mixed together.
Cool.
There's all sorts of fun stuff. And then, you get to learn how to eat roots and different sorts of stuff out in the woods and eat bunnies and all sorts of fun.
And you wanted to teach that?
Yeah, that's what my dad did. And it's a really cool job. You spend like a week on and a week off teaching students out in the woods, and you're just carrying a pack around, setting up camps, and you sit by a fire most of the time. It seems like for somebody that likes the outdoors, it seemed like
Yeah,
a
I
really,
could see
really
that.
cool job. But then I realized you turn your hobby and your passion into a job, and it becomes a lot less fun. And I was seeing guys getting medically discharged at like 35 with bad backs and knees. And so packing around 85 pounds on my back didn't seem like a long-term job. So I asked for a reclass. I got reclassed into dental laboratory, which I had no idea what it was. I thought I was just going to be a dental assistant.
So when you ask for a reclass, they just pick and choose what you're going to go into?
Based on this, when you enter the Air Force or any of the military branches, that you take the ASVAB, which is the Armed Services Vocational something battery. But it tells you essentially it goes through various math and science and reasoning skills and stuff like that, and gives the Air Force or the military branch of service that you're going into an idea of what you'd be good at. Where would they be? Yeah, so it just tells them, it's a placement test.
Your test told them that you could either hunt for rabbits or make teeth?
No, I went in with a guaranteed job as a survival instructor because that's what I wanted to do. So I said to the recruiter, I said, I will not go to the basic training without this job guaranteed. And there was a big bonus involved in that too. So there was incentive for me and I had to do a lot different training. Like right after basic, we went to special forces type basic training school right across the street from the normal basic training base. Lackland did about 8 more weeks of selection training to even get the job. So it was a long process. And I was in it for about 1.5 years before I made that decision. And then it was a really tough decision to make, but so glad that I did it. Cause when I got down to Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas, and realized I wasn't just going to be sucking spit, I really fell in love with the job. I excelled really early, was honored graduate in my class, and went on to a bunch of advanced courses after that. So
you're talking about dental now. So take me through that part of it. So what's the curriculum? What is it like to learn it in the service like that? Actually, just out of the sidebar, that's where my father learned it. So
awesome. Yeah. So it really accelerated. I'll say that they take a 2-year course, which would be the outside dental technology course, and they cram it into 6 months.
Oh, nice.
And so you're staying in dorms. You march together with your class to it's a tri-service base. So we're working with Army, Navy, and Air Force. We all march together in formation, at 6 a.m. and get our breakfast, and we're marching back and forth to classes. But when we're in the class, it's really relaxed. We're able to wear smocks. We're not, standing at attention and everything like that. And then we were able to go through starting off just pouring up impressions to full dentures. We set a complete denture, which was in our first month.
In your first month? Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty quick.
Really accelerated. It's very accelerated. I mean, we had 6 months and we went through dentures was the first block. Then we went from that, it was partials. So learning all the Kennedy classifications, learning all the, different connectors, bridge connectors and everything like that. And then did flippers, I think, in that portion. Then we moved on to ortho, bending wires, doing Hawley retainers, all sorts of stuff in that. Then moved on to crown and bridge, and that's the final one that's kind of tied in with implants as well. So they just tie crown and bridge and implants together. And it wasn't a whole lot of implant technology when I went through, and I'm sure now it's more 3D printing and 3D design and stuff. But
sure. And
then once you're through the 6 months course, you go to another base that's certified as an upgrade training base. I went to Lackland, which was same city. I was hoping to go to like Kunsan in Korea or something cool, or Las Vegas would have even been cooler than Lackland Air Force Base, which I was at 20 miles away from the base I was already at. So, but it actually turned out really well because that's the Air Force Postgraduate Dental School. So, it's where all of the bigwigs come back to teach. And then the general dentists, after they do their general dentistry training and they're ready to move on to a specialty, they go back to this school and learn prosthodontics, endodontics, perio, all that stuff. So I was able to see a ton of different cases and work directly with a lot of different types of doctors, both chair side and having them come back into the lab and explain things to me, how they wanted them a little bit better. So I had a big leg up in that area, dealing with doctors early on, learning how to do that.
So they actually see patients, and you guys have a lab on the base that you guys were doing physical work?
Yep. So the clinic, the postgraduate dental clinic, sees any dependents. They see active duty and retired, and they would have patients in there, and then we have the lab on site in the clinic. So it was a huge lab, huge clinic, and we were able to work closely with each case. So that way we're learning intricately how everything goes into the mouth and how everything is going to work out and play out. You're not just throwing it out the door and saying, well,
I'll never
hopefully it
see you
comes back
again.
with a good review. Yeah. Or you get a phone call from a doctor saying, what the heck is this? So it was really nice to have the doctor actually walk back to you and go, what the heck is this? And walk you back to the operatory and show you, hey, this is not right. And you need to, and it felt bad at first, but they never did it in a way that would make you, where it was intentionally malicious. It was just like, oh man, I felt like I'm so, a big hot shot. And then when I see it in the mouth, it doesn't look it's not hitting all the functional things. I got this real nice and bright. We had a saying back in the day, if you can't make it right, make it bright.
That's what we said. We said, if you can't make it right, make it shiny.
Exactly.
This is better. It rhymes.
If I had any doubt, I would just polish the crap out of something, and we'd go back into the operatory and see something that was going on, and it's like, oh my goodness, what have I done? But it's shiny.
So true.
When you're working on these cases, do you get graded, or how do they know you're progressing?
Yeah, so they're doing step checks. You're paired with another military member who's called your supervisor, and they run through the Airforce manual now. So then you take the Airforce manual, and they've adapted certain like to-do lists, like a checklist, and your supervisor will come in and say, hey, this week we're going to work on bite rims, and I'm going to have you make a bite rim for me. And then after you've gotten certified by your supervisor, you can make bite rims. But really you're thrown into the mix, and then they're like, we'll get you certified on bite rims, but we know that you can kind of make a bite rim. So they get you going on things, and as you progress through your upgrade training, that's another 6 months or to a year, I think. And you just go through the Airforce manual step by step, doing everything in that book.
In that order.
In that order, yeah. So
did you struggle with anything? I mean, was there anything your supervisor? Yeah,
there's tons of stuff that I struggled with. That I mean, it was sometimes where a supervisor will step in and say, hey, you're doing this here. We're not, when you really need to do this, and help you not mess it up. There were a lot of things that I was struggling with, like the fundamental, idea of what I was doing. It was more like, hey, this step, if you miss this step, you're not gonna pass. So let's do this step, kind of thing. And it wasn't super like you're gonna get failed out or anything like that. If you failed that day, we'll just retest next week and try it again. So
I've seen the Airforce manual, and I have no idea what version it was that I saw, but it's not an easy read. I mean,
it's very dry. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty amazing just to go through it, let alone in 6 months.
Yeah. So, I think it was about a year for our upgrade training from that through the full. Still. Yeah. But it's pretty accelerated. So after I got upgrade trained and everything, I started hearing about a base it was back across the other side of San Antonio. So there's 3 bases. There's Fort Sam Houston, which is the tri-service base where we do all the education. And that's where I did my first school. There's Lackland Air Force Base. And then there's Brooke Army Medical Center, which I think they've even renamed that now. It's like LAX Joint Fort Sam, Lackland or something like that. But it was called Brooke Army Medical Center. And it was the biggest trauma facility in the area. So we were able to do maxillofacial reconstructions and stuff. And I heard about the anaplastologist over there, Nancy Hansen, which was a civilian anaplastologist contracted with the Air Force.
What's a plastologist?
She's an anaplastologist. So they reconstruct eyes and noses and ears and any kind of implant technology that would be on your face. Or sometimes even we would do prosthetic nipples for patients that had mastectomies and repair stuff like that for people. So we would I worked closely with her, and she trained me up to make eyes, and I made a nose and a couple ears and a bunch of obturators, like full bulb obturators, hollow bulb obturators and stuff.
How?
Yeah, how'd you learn it?
How do you make them? What do you use?
So a hollow bulb obturator. For eyes and noses, we would use like a silicone. It's just a regular silicone, and we would tint it with natural pigments. And we would wax up, like, so for a nose, say we'd wax up a prosthetic, try it in the patient's face. If they had implants, we'd put that in that. A lot of times they have magnetic implants so that things kind of just snap into place and orientation really nicely.
Let me ask a dumb question. How do you wax up a nose? I mean, when we're doing teeth, they're all, generally we know what they should look like. But everybody's nose is different.
We would take a facial moulage. We would do kind of it's a long process, but we'd stick, straws in their nose to protect their airway and lean them back in a chair and slowly paint hydrocolloid and then layer in gauze over top of that to kind of hold it. And then once we got the full face kind of painted, we would then do a cast over it with stone. So then we would cover it with stone and then remove that whole thing and pour it up really quick. So now we've got a model of the face, a mold of the face.
Wow, that's sweet.
They're doing 3D scans now, stuff like that. So
I bet, yeah.
We had a big 3D modeling room that they would take pictures of the full outside of patient's face. It was called 3D MD, and it was like a bunch of Canon DSLRs in a room, in a square room, and you'd walk in the center of this room and sit the patient down and line them up in the center, and it would take pictures from all different angles of their head, and we could merge that with cone beam scans and then do like orthognathic surgeries and marry it with the photo data that we have to show the patient actually what their face will look like when they're done with the surgery.
Wow.
To kind of get so it was a lot of really cool technology, like cutting edge dental stuff. But yeah, so starting at waxing up so then you'd pour that model up. You'd have a stone model of their face or the affected area that you're working on, and then you'd start waxing onto that. You might block out some areas that are undercuts and you just really don't want to throw stuff into, because then you're working in a nose. There's a lot of stuff in the sinuses. There's a lot of their eyes. You don't realize how close your eye muscles are to that cavity of the nose until you really just look in there and see somebody's eye muscles moving around in their nose, right there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So then when you wax up a nose, I mean, do patients offer their suggestions?
Yeah, so we'll take photos, skin kind of tones and stuff, and makeup. We'd mix up right next to them a palette of skin tones that we were going to use and kind of make a map of the nose. We would draw out the nose or the ear or whatever, make a map of it with color-coded skin tone areas. So we're going to say in this part of the nose, we're going to put purple, or we're going to put pink, and then we would take that and then start with a mold, make a stone mold and boil it out and start just tinting the nose and that based on the map that we've drawn.
Kind of like a denture, like tissue.
Exactly like that. Cool. Yeah.
If you're doing an ear, would you just copy the other one?
Yeah. A lot of times you're just mimicking like the eye. A lot of times patients just lose one eye, so you're just going in and just staring directly into their eyes for a moment or so. Can I take this call real quick?
Yeah, do what you gotta do.
Right, hold on just a sec. Hi, this is Daniel. Awesome, I'll be right by. Thank you. Bye-bye. That's the pain of owning your own lab.
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing.
We're leaving that in.
Yep. So you're staring into somebody's eye for about 8 hours or so, painting, characterizing with over a couple appointments, because we would do different layers inside of the eye to create a 3D effect as the eye moves a little bit, so that it didn't just look like a picture of an eye on there, a real stark looking thing.
Give it some life.
Yeah, exactly. So I have a real passion for that restoration of a patient's sense of self, and that transfers into, now I just make dentures, but it doesn't feel like I'm just making dentures. I'm repairing somebody's sense of self.
Yep.
Their sense of being able to eat and talk and smile and be out in life and not feel self-conscious about that. And that's my true passion. That's all I'm not here to make a bunch of money. I'm just here to enjoy this
Change
quality of
lives.
life that I get. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
rewarding to me to every day have these patients thanking me so much and just about in tears, telling me how much they love what the work that I've done. And for it to feel so effortless and feel so like it just comes natural to me. It really feels like I'm on the right path in life. So
That's great.
So
So
go
where'd you
back a
go
minute.
after?
Oh, please. I started that, Elvis. I'm just kidding. So, yeah. So, after that part of your training, then what? When did you decide to go out on your own?
yeah, so after that part, I decided to get out of the Air Force because I kind of felt like there was just more for me on the outside, and I moved up to Colorado from Texas. I had a buddy that was building car washes up there, and he said, "Hey man, come over to Colorado. Skiing is good." So I moved up to Colorado, Denver, and worked at Peebles Prosthetics.
Oh, Peebles, yeah.
Yeah, Rick Peebles. He's a great guy,
Mm-hmm.
and great mustache too. So
Yeah.
I worked at Peebles for a little bit, and I just really started feeling, I was in the mountains over there, but it just wasn't home. And my family's up here in Spokane, Washington. So after a couple of years, maybe about a year and a half working for Rick, I moved on back up to Spokane and worked for a denturist up here. Got a lot of chairside experience there, and moved to full service lab because I just kind of missed that being around the full service kind of mindset. And then worked there for about 6 or 7 years, and now I've moved up to owning my own lab, the Wizards of the Bench.
Wow. What's it called?
Wizards of the Bench. How'd you come up with that?
So it's kind of a play on the Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. I feel like a lot of times the lab field, a lot of patients don't really know that the denture that's going into their mouth isn't coming from the doctor that's doing the appointment until something goes wrong. So I feel like our field sometimes it has a similarity to the Wizard of Oz kind of movie. And then I thought,
Yeah.
it attracts a different kind of technician, that one that kind of takes more pride in the magic of what we're doing.
I think it's a great name. I mean, it plays off of a lot of fantasy.
It's not just my name, my last name, Dental Lab. I feel like I wanted to stand
Yeah.
out at least a little bit. I went to a marketing course right before I moved off onto my own with Norbert Ulmer. Actually,
Yeah.
you guys had put out the ad, and it said we're offering a sponsorship for one tech or two techs or something like that who are under 30 and their own own a lab. And I was just about there to owning my own lab, so I thought I'll sign up and see, and actually got sponsored for the course. So I went down.
Nice.
I went down to Charlotte, and that gave me a lot of good tips on how to start right, and build it up from the ground up in a way that has a salient brand, that has kind of a meaning behind it. I have a value behind my brand, and to have that marketing confidence to go out to doctors and say, hey, I have a good product, but I don't know how to market that. Now I had that, and it really gave me a leg up in the start my own lab aspect.
Yeah, so you started this in an area where you weren't already like established as a technician, and you probably didn't know kind of like the dentist base in the area.
Actually, no, I had been working in the area, this Spokane area, for about 4 or 5 years. So I had known
At another lab?
at a different lab, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'd worked at a denturist in Spokane and another full service lab in town. And so I had a good lay of the land, an idea of, what docs to chase and which ones to kind of avoid. And I set a dream sheet, and I went to the first doctor on my dream sheet and got business from him. And I was really lucky to have nailed that like right on the first time. I had a good thing set up because Norbert and Sasha was there at that course as well. Sasha Duravanesian.
Yeah.
Really good, really good. I've been lucky this whole way. Things have fallen into place, and I've brushed shoulders with some of the best people in our field, and been able to establish connections with them and feel super lucky. So
what's it like starting up your own lab? Like, how do you, when you got to find the space, then you have to figure out what equipment. So like, walk us through that if you don't mind.
Yeah, so it started out, my main focus was getting a good brand, a logo going. So I got on Fiverr and
Yeah, good old Fiverr.
I worked up a few designs. I found something that I really liked and had them tweak it a little bit more, and it cost me, I think, like $65, but I got a great logo. And then from there, figured out well, the name kind of went with the logo. I was searching for spaces for quite a while, I think about a month. Just finding the right space, something that wasn't too big. I didn't want to have too much square footage to have to grow into.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure how I was going to build this. I didn't know if I was going to long-term solo this or if I wanted to have a few techs right off the start. So I just wanted to find a really nice space. I found one for about 1,700 square feet, and it's got retail-facing area, so I was able to make a nice, like, inspiring interior kind of look. It doesn't look necessarily like a lab in the front end. In the back end is crazy, but
that's the wizard behind the curtain, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pay no attention to that room back there. But no, so I found the retail space, and then it was just I had my certification, so I had to apply to the state of Washington to get registered with the Department of Health.
So Washington requires every lab to have a CDT in it?
Yep. Yeah. And so I'm the only lab tech, so I have to have a CDT. So I got my CDT before I had thought about jumping out on my own, and I got that in dentures. And I just took the pilot test for the
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did, and I'm really excited to take that one. I think that's going to be a great add-on. I hopefully eventually want to be a master technician. I've known a few of them, and I think that's totally attainable and something that I want to keep working towards.
Wow. Good for you. I swear there's a resurgence with the CDTs right now. That's really great, especially with the digital part of it. I'm glad to hear you took that.
They've made it more accessible with the COVID, so it's a lot easier. Before, I would have had to travel over to Seattle, that's a 5-hour drive, 6-hour drive, stay over there to test, and then come back. Like, even if I knew I was going to ace the test, it's still a big barrier to go over. And then the complete dentures wasn't an easy go for. I don't think any of them are easy. So that was kind of a barrier to entry to say, man, I got to study for a little bit. But to have it all online and say, all right, I'm going to do this at the comfort of the lab that I'm comfortable with.
Yep.
That was a big change, and I think that it'll make good for this career field.
Oh, yeah, trust me. I was the beta test for that. They came to my lab to see how that would all work and shake down, and it was just like really, really, it turned out to be a really awesome idea and super easy for techs to do that. And yeah, I agree, in the comfort of your own lab, your own bench, all your own equipment. So that's great.
Yep. And so once I got my certification, I was on the way. I was moving and shaking and looking for spaces, got the space. And then it was just dropping cards off at doctors' offices. I didn't want to throw all my cards out and just cast a wide net because I didn't know how hungry for labs this area was. And I'm glad that I did that because the number one doctor on my dream sheet hit me up, and now I'm essentially working just for him. I've got all of his work, and it's keeping me very busy.
Wow.
Well, talk about how you created that relationship. I mean, did he know you from the previous lab and followed you? Or
man, I got to say, I went one time with the previous lab owner.
Yeah.
To talk to him about, hey, he was having issues with taking partial impressions or something. When he was early on in his career, and so I was military. He's a Army Reserves. And so we established a bond at that meeting on that. And then when I branched off on my own, I just said, hey, I talked to the front desk girl. I said, hey, tell Dr. So-and-so that I know him, I met him, and we share a connection from the military. And so I think he
that
thought
was smart.
Yeah.
That was really smart.
I think he actually thought I was somebody else. And so
hey, whatever works.
He started sending me work through one of his younger docs, and then tried me out and really liked what he saw it first, and then it was just off to the races. I've been very busy with this clinic. So
you get to go see your work in the mouth with him?
Oh yeah. We did a conversion just Monday, and I was right there the whole time. So
You don't hear a lot about solo lab owners doing conversions because it takes you out of the lab so much.
Yeah, you gotta really want it. You gotta work hard.
Yeah.
I'm looking really hard for somebody else to come in and fill my space in the lab, setting teeth, so that I can get out and do more of that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
it's just a matter of coming in and grinding it. Once I drop the kids down to bed, I come back to the lab. I live about 5 minutes away, so I'm really lucky that I can just pop right over here really quick and get work done at night. And so just working, burning it at both ends, I guess. That's how you do it.
That's kind of the truth, though. I mean, like, if you had to think about it, are you working a 12, 13-hour day?
Yeah, I'm here from about 7 to I drop the kids, or I go pick up the kids at 4, and then they're back down in bed at 7:30, and then I'm here till midnight after 7:30 once kids are in bed. So
Please tell me no weekends.
sometimes weekends, man. I just started in October, so I
Okay.
think taking the time to really, build it up right the first time, and not have to come back and redo some of my steps or my processes later on. I think, yeah, I don't know. It's not maintainable for long term. I'm definitely looking for somebody to come in, help me out, but
But right now, go for it, right?
yeah.
What I love is so many people talk about how, labs are hurting and labs are shutting down and all this. You opened this thing, what are we, 5 months ago?
Yep.
You're so busy, you're overworked, and you're looking to hire. That sounds like a pretty good success story to me.
Yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to come on here. I feel like there's a lot of techs that maybe think, because of how the field is moving, that things are dying, or that this field is kind of losing some sort of market edge. There's tons of work out there, and if you really want it, you can get out there and get it. I feel like if you're certified and feel confident in your work, you need to go out and start your own thing. Keep the market competitive.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Keep these old lab owners on their toes.
Yep, exactly. So in Chicago, you went to Chicago, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah,
So did you go to courses? Were you looking for new materials? What
I
is
did.
that?
I actually scored a 4-drawer tooth cabinet from Vita, so lucked out
Nice.
on won't have to order teeth over and over again, because right now I really don't have much on stock, just the leftovers from cases that didn't go.
Yep.
So I got some teeth stocked. I was looking at some mills because I want to catch that final Zirconia all-on-4 prosthesis.
Oh.
Nice.
But I talked to Mark Wagonseal at the Vita desk, and he really spoke to me about, he had a kind of an analogy. He mentioned about a restaurant down the street from his office. It's called Simply Donaires, and said that's great and all, and it creates a great idea, but they have window stickers of like cheeseburgers and poutine and all this other stuff. And so he's like, what are you? Are you Simply Donaires, or do you sell cheeseburgers and stuff? And it kind of spoke to me. And like at those conventions, you can get so overwhelmed thinking, well, I could be this and I could be that for my doctors. And I just focused, right after he said that, I just focused on, okay, I do this. I'm good at this. This is the way I'm going to go with my lab. I'm going to continue to do full dentures and partials and just specialize in that. And there's going to be a market for it. And
There's a huge market for it.
but if I spread myself too thin, because I can do fixed work, I'm comfortable doing crown and bridge work. I feel like if I spread myself too thin doing everything for everybody, I'll end up not doing quality work. And that's what's built my business to where it is right now. That's the thing, is that it's the only secret, is just do quality work. The doctors are out there for you and they want the work.
So you're in a denturist legal state. Any thoughts on becoming a denturist ever?
I've thought about it. I don't like being in the patient's mouth as much. I like having the doctor do that. And then if need be, I can come in and kind of look and see and have him do adjustments and stuff like that. But I like staying outside of their mouths. I've done enough.
So do I. Just saying.
Yeah.
Elvis likes being in the mouth.
Yeah, I did enough.
Only certain ones. So do you do denturists work?
No, I don't. I don't do anything in the mouth. I don't.
No, but what I'm saying is, do any denturist send you work?
No, I've just strictly, I don't have any time to work. This doctor or this clinic has 3 doctors in it, and then they have a satellite clinic out a couple miles out of town. And so they've kept me so busy that I haven't really had to sell to any doctors. Like I had a really good month this last month. And so,
So you open a lab, you go to get your first doctor, and you get enough work to
yeah,
stay busy. That's insanely awesome.
yeah, it is a crazy success story, but I hope that this inspires at least somebody that's out there thinking, man, I wish I could do it. I think I could do it. You can do it. You can do it if
You
you
just
put
need
your
that
mind
one.
to it. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's just truly having a passion for what you're doing. You know, if you're truly putting all your work into every denture that you do, it's going to show, and the doctors are going to know that, and they're going to want to work with you,
Yep.
and they're going to see that. So I did do a little bit of market research ahead of time to set prices and make sure that I wasn't, outside of the norm on how
Yeah.
much I'm going to charge for my dentures and stuff. And that was helpful to have that NADL market research survey that I got before to kind of just figure out, okay, this how's this going to look numbers wise,
Mm-hmm. Did you obtain any other labs price lists?
No, I didn't really feel like, I mean, I felt like the market research gave a pretty good slice of an idea of what I should charge.
Yeah.
And I wanted to charge a little bit higher than that anyway, so that I wasn't just the cheapest lab in town. I don't want to be the cheapest lab in town. I want somebody to come to me and say when they want it done right.
No, absolutely.
That's awesome. But I got a question. How do you manage your day? Because you've got impressions that are coming in, you're doing model work, you're doing bite blocks, you're doing setups. How the heck does that work?
And chair side conversions.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of sticky notes. I have LabNext, which is a really good lab management software, which I don't think I could do without that. It does a lot to tell me, hey, you've got this going on today. You need to make sure everything's out.
That's awesome because you don't hear about a lot of solo lab owners using software.
No, that was the first get that I needed. I was like, I know that if I'm going to run a successful lab, that I need to have a successful lab software.
That's awesome.
And not
And
just
what's it
run it on
called?
Excel sheets. LabNext, it's through Henry Schein.
Huh.
Um,
Lab next. Cool.
yeah, it's really sleek, and it's an online software, so I can log in from my phone. The doctors can log in and send me prescriptions on there, attach photos to cases. So it's really nice. It's a web-based platform.
You use that to say, all right, today I've got to do this and then that, and then what? You're
Yep.
scanning off of them or booking off of them?
Yeah, and then I'll just kind of line up. Say if I've got bite rims, line up all the bite rims and just start working on them like a conveyor belt kind of thing. Do one step, on to the next one, do the next step, and then get the tools out for the next step and move on to the. It's just setting teeth the same way. You got to be really organized, and
Yeah.
I put all my teeth in every case pan, double check and make sure all the shades are right and the molds that I picked are right and everything. But it moves in kind of waves. I've worked at a lab long enough to know that, like, I think that's a natural, like there's a natural ebb and flow of the tide. And so it seems like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I get a lot of like, hey, we're taking initial impressions for, you got a bite rim. So these are just poured up and let's either make a custom tray or a bite rim on it. And then I can expect about Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to be catching some more final try-ins that I've sent out and then go to process kind of thing. So I spend more of the last part of the week doing some of those fine-tuned setting things. So I think that with that ebb and flow, I've kind of married my workflow to that and kind of create a harmonious work-life balance.
Yeah.
So that I take a lot of time off and go home and eat lunch and hang out with my dog. Bring my dog here. I don't miss lunch. That's definitely that's a hard stop for me.
I actually knew a dentist that told me once that they delivered dentures at the end of the week, hopefully on Friday, just so they had 2 days of patients not calling to complain about them.
Or worst case scenario, they call and you got to come back in on a weekend. That sounds like a bad idea to me.
I think they just don't answer.
Thursday. Yeah, that's true.
So are they gracious on turnaround time for you, or did you set that up
I
front?
set I set hard turnaround times on them. So I want to be able to have enough time to do the work that they expect and to keep that constant quality. So I've set hard turnaround times, and they're comfortable for me, and they work for them. They're faster than many of the labs around town that can do. And I think that's just based on, so I jumped from fixed to removable to maxillofacial. There's so many different like specialties, but when you learn, it's all just kind of like, don't think, do, kind of like that Top Gun thing, what he
I
said,
was
like,
just
don't.
gonna say Maverick.
Exactly. There's something that you do, that you, a kind of mindset that you get into when you've learned a lot of different lab procedures and techniques and stuff, that you can say, I can tackle any of these problems in front of me as long as I know the materials that I have to work with. And so that's kind of how I take it.
That's awesome. You told me not to think.
Yeah, exactly.
I've only seen that movie at least 20 times. Sorry.
I love that movie.
I had a moment when you said that. I was like, that was a great line.
I watched it on a plane with the subtitles on because I didn't even want to get the headphones I didn't get the headphones from the flight attendant. And it still brought me to goosebumps at the end.
Oh, yeah. Freaking movie ever. Love that movie. Sorry.
Well, I hate to jet on you guys, but I got stuff I got to do. I hate to end this early, but
that's fine. Elvis loves 45-minute interviews.
Cool, it's all good.
Cool.
I got stuff I got to do too. I'm at the bench all day, every day, so I totally get it. It was great talking to you.
Well, Daniel, we appreciate it.
We'll do this again sometime.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll do this again sometime.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Huge thanks to Daniel for coming on the podcast. We love when technicians go out on their own and just kill it straight out of the gate. So congratulations. Go check him out on Instagram and see some of his amazing work and his really cool lab. It's so cool to hear that you got some marketing help from Grow3X, which is amazing because you heard about it here on the podcast. It's amazing what can happen if we all support each other and grow together. And guys, remember, send in your audio thanks and get a shirt to let the world know that dental technicians have better technique. I like it.
On and off the bench.
That's right.
All right, everybody. That's all we got for you. And we will talk to you next week.
See ya. Have a happy Memorial Day.
Bye.
Just busy as balls.